charts, and the charts as published in magazines such as Blues and Soul. Also looking back, I'd like to thank everybody at Record Corner in Balham for their support and help with the sounds, and for bringing to our attention what was new and what was good and worth listening to. Continuing with slower things, wonder if you can remember this. Also from 1970, Didn't We Blow Your Mind? I gave my heart and soul to you, girl. Didn't I do it, baby? Didn't I do it, baby? Gave you a love you never knew, girl. Oh, didn't I do it, baby? Didn't I do it, baby? One of the significant moments in Radio Invicta's history was the invention in 1972 of a thing that we called the technical break. Yes, we decided that it would be a good idea to have different transmitters all around London and to have part of Invicta going out from one transmitter and part of Invicta going out from another transmitter. It meant that it was safer from the point of view of being detected by the authorities who are paid to listen to us, and also it was a way of getting out to more listeners. So we invented that. But had its shortcomings as well, because in 1972, one Sunday, after driving back from a very successful broadcast, Tony Johns was motoring through the Rotherhithe Tunnel at a great rate of knots and nearly collided with a police Black Maria van. And they investigated all the contents of his car and found some rather strange disco equipment. The saga continues after this one.
Back again, hurting me more and more.
Well, after a breathtaking chase through the streets of London and Tony Johns proved that he really was fit for Le Mans, his car was stopped and this disco equipment was seized. It later turned out to be Radio Invicta transmitting equipment, and himself and the other presenter in the car, a guy by the name of Bob Adams, were both taken to a certain police station where statements were taken and various pieces of equipment were seized and confiscated. And thus Radio Invicta lost its first transmitter, the first of two that have been lost. Further details coming up later on. I said earlier on that a lot of the records, of course, are only released in mono in the early days, and so they were. But occasionally there was a real gem that came out in absolute dynamic stereo, like this one from Tyrone Davis, and I had it all the time. Even the clicks sounded better.
Something that I'm missing. Is it something that she's got? Oh, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, while landing at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, please fasten your seatbelts and observe the no smoking signal until you're well inside the terminal. Thank you.
Hello, huh? Yes, this is Tyrone. Now, please, don't hang up the phone. You see, I came all the way back here just to say to you, baby, I'm so sorry. And if my loving mean anything at all to you, I just want to tell you I've changed. I mean, I'm a brand new me. Oh, baby, yeah, I'm ready to crawl. You see, I don't know what it is you got, but whatever it is, without it, I'm a lonely man. You see, baby, ever since I've been away, I had a lot of time to think, a lot of time to reminisce about all the good things about you. Oh, yeah, I had a date or two, but what do that mean? You know, they could never take the place of you. And you see, baby, what I was trying to find, I had it in you all the time. Well, baby, listen, I'm going to say goodbye, but not for long. Just for the time it'll take a cab to get me home. Here they go, the same 2 feet, walking back down that one-way street. Here goes this heart of mine. It said you got to get up back one more time. I keep telling myself that I don't want you no more, but every day of my life I have to knock up on your door, and that lets me know what I've been trying to find. I had it all the time. You see, I can't stop feeling this way about you, baby. I can't stop feeling this way about you, baby. Oh, here go these 2 eyes of mine. They long to see you one more time. My lips wants to kiss you, my arms can't resist you. I swallow my pride to tell you how much I miss you. You see, I can't stop feeling this way about you, babe. I can't stop feeling this way about you, babe. And what I was out there trying to find, I had it all the time. I said, what I was out there trying to find, oh, baby, I had it all the time. It wasn't you I was kissing, while in another's arms I found myself reminiscing. And that let me know what I was trying to find. I had it all the time. I said that let me know what I've been trying to find. Oh, baby, I had it all the time. You see, I can't stop feeling this way about you, baby. I can't stop feeling this way about you, baby. Girl, I'm coming on home. I've got to see you one more time, baby. I'm coming. I'm coming. Oh, baby, I got to have you.
It was the years when a single cost 6 shillings and 9pence, and a transmitting valve for our new transmitters in those days cost £7.10 or £7.10. Contrast that to the inflation nowadays when a transmitting valve costs £54.50. Back in those days, of course, Radio Invicta didn't have that many presenters, and everybody was into their own particular thing. I particularly liked slowies and ones which really got me up and made me move. Yes, I used to dance in those days, which, if you know me nowadays, would probably quite surprise and shock you. Well, I called it dancing. Tony Johns used to criticise it. And there was a record which I particularly liked from those many years ago from Jackie Wilson, which was made even more sad for a reason that I'll tell you in a moment.
This is Jackie Wilson. Keep that dial tuned to Radio Invicta, Europe's only soul station, 92.4 FM.
And that little greeting you heard from Jackie Wilson in some ways is rather sad, because we recorded that at the 100 Club when he was over in London, and after that appearance in London he went back to the States, and 6 months later sadly had a stroke from which he never recovered, and was never able to sing again. And we recorded the last ever interview, as far as I know, in this country with Jackie Wilson. It's so sad. In those days, of course, it was the years when the various people around in authority didn't quite approve of Radio Invicta, and that spread not just from the official people who don't like Invicta, but also from my employers. And in those days, my boss, John and Stan, they were very, very anti me being involved with Radio Invicta, and at one time it was, it's either the station or your job. So we managed to keep both going, and I'd like to remember them over the air. Also, of course, it was the days when Bob Adams was mad about music, and I played one of the Tyrone Davis records that were current at the time. I'm going to play another one and dedicate it especially to him. After that, an instrumental, and we'll go on with some of your dedications. This one's called One Way Ticket.
It took a one-way ticket to nowhere to make me know that I still care. Those lonely nights without you in sight were too much for me to bear. But oh, I let my pride carry your love aside. It took a one-way ticket to nowhere. You know I love you, baby, I love you. It took a one-way ticket. I tried to get you off of my mind by wasting some other girl's time. Didn't have no conversation, didn't know my destination. I just had to keep on trying. A smile was out of place. It showed all over my face. It took a one-way ticket to nowhere. Made me know I love you. Oh, baby. It took a one-way ticket. Oh, forgive me, girl, but I know now that it won't be long. But all you got to do is keep a light burning in the window. The TV come marching home, 'cause I'll be there, baby, 'cause I love you. That's why I'm coming back home to you, 'cause I love you. Oh, baby. Turn around. Come and see my baby right now, baby. It's just so home, mama, mama, mama.
All right, I've got to recover from some of these oldies. They send me into ectasms. It's a word of my own, that one. Similarly ectasmic. Hi there to Pete in Holloway. Dedication to anyone who knows him in the butchers at Copenhagen Street. Copenhagen Street? Oh, where the Danish bacon comes from, perhaps. From Alan in Bromley, dedication to Dave, Paul and Wendy, and from Michael of Kilburn, hi to Mum and Sister and all friends, plus Invicta for Boxing Day. It was great. Oh, it's really great, man, great. From Roy of Edgware, dedication to all the artists at Barnet College, especially the Art and Design Class 1, I think it is. Remember, if you want a dedication or a special message to go out on Radio Invicta for friends, family, relatives and things for the new year, 648-9790. That's 648-9790. My name's Roger Tate. Later on we'll be having programmes from the Steves, Steve Devon, Steve Chandler and Steve Marshall. We'll be playing I Shot the Sheriff, Andy Jackson, Steve Chandler again, I think, and Tony Johns, the old man of the station. No, not really. Tony's heart is in his right place, in his little toe. I wonder what he'll say about me later on. See if we can coax him up to the microphone later on and see if he's got any memories of Radio Invicta. And if he does come into the studio, Tony, you could bring me a cup of tea as well. A few more dedications and things that I'd like to give out. I'd like to say hello to Tezzles in Sunbury. I'd like to say hello to Jeff Harris in Sutton. To Fruitbat over there in Morden, Surrey. To everybody at Bluebird Records, thanks guys for your support and help. I'd like to say hello to all the guests that will be appearing on Radio Invicta later on. I'd like to say hello to an anonymous customer of Unilet Hi-Fi in New Malden who walked into the shop the other day and heard somebody discussing the Radio Invicta transmission that's going out this weekend and went up with sort of starry eyes and said, "Ah, are you into Invicta?" And myself and a friend was in there, we were discussing it, and we said, well, yes, we're doing the technological bit. And he said, oh, would you play me a record? So I said yes, and he promptly forgot to write his name and address down. Over the years, I've been to quite a few gigs, things brought on by people, I should say people who have been brought over here by promoters to do their thing. And 3 years ago, went to Hammersmith Odeon, where Junior Walker and the All-Stars were there. I thought it'd be rather apt to play a favourite record from them. Tony Johns was into this as well. Hello, Tony. He's brought me the tea. You've got any dramatic memories of...
You tea after that.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
And shut up.
Oh, right. Have you got any memories of Invicta back in the old days?
I remember you getting having an argument with a special branch when they thought you were terrorists and you weren't. You were just playing soul records somewhere, weren't you?
That's right. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't really mean your brain was in your little toe.
Yes. All right. I don't care.
I'm sure you'll get your own back later on.
Oh yes, I will.
Would you like to introduce this one?
I don't know what it is. It's Junior Walker. I know that. Should you? No. Which
No.
one? Shake your finger, pop.
No, the other one.
Roadrunner. Oh yes.
Who needs that to live a life free and easy? Put the toothbrush in my hand and let me see traveling man, because I'm a roadrunner, baby.
Junior Walker and the All-Stars. Went to see them some years ago. Thank you for introducing them there, Tony. Salt of the Earth. And I'm going to go on with another band that I went to see in Croydon, the Fairfield Halls. Win Place or Show, she's the winner, of course. It's the Intruders. And talking of Croydon, a fascinating story follows.
They are expecting to fly high class, and they are
Got a lot of brains in her head. She's got a lifestyle.
Yes, talking about going to Croydon to see them brings back a memory of Croydon back in 1974, I think it was. In those days, Radio Invicta used to go up to high places to look out for new broadcasting sites. And so it came to pass that one night Tony Johns and I were driving through the sleeping, murky parts of Croydon, and we spotted a rooftop, and we thought we would go up onto the roof there and see if there were any places around there that we might be able to operate our illegal pirate radio transmitters. And indeed, we were on this rooftop for about half an hour looking around and seeing if we could spot or even spot some places nearby that we could transmit from. And then it came, all the lights, the searchlights, the people running up the stairs, and gotcha, you're nicked. What are you doing? So we came up with this excuse, which was partially true. I said that I was a member of the British UFO Society, and we were up there on that particular rooftop looking for UFOs. So they said to me, well, look, we don't believe you, and can you give the name of anybody who can sort of corroborate your claim? So indeed I gave the names of various people involved with the Mitchin Camera Club, which I was a member of, and in those days I was very interested in taking pictures of stars and things. So at 1 o'clock, or 1:30 it was by the time we were at the police station, they went round and knocked up all my friends and work colleagues and things like that and said, is it true that this guy Roger Tate here is that mad that he'll be up on a rooftop? And they said, mate, he is absolutely balmy and he would probably do such things. So they were ready to let us go and say, look, you naughty boys, don't you dare go UFO spotting on Croydon rooftops again. And they had to go round to one of the DJ's homes to get his father out, because he was a minor in those days, and his father came to the door and said, don't tell me he was on a rooftop with Radio Jackie again. The gaff was blown. But we got off. This is Invicta 92.4, Looking Back.
Just can't get you off my mind. Hey, sweet baby, you're on my mind all the time. It ain't the way you do it, baby. It's how you do it, honey. It ain't the way you say it, baby. It's how you say it, baby. Hey, sweet baby.
Yes, those were the days when scratch filters hadn't been invented. When all record decks went, whoa.
When you can
Yes, it was the days when a hill was a mound, a froggy was a small animal, and the Walsh Force were just small twinklings in somebody's eye. You're tuned to Radio Invicta, 648-9790. It's a sort of day when we'll be having all sorts of guests popping in. And talking of the Walsh Force, here he is. Come here, sir. Would you like to enunciate something over the wireless medium?
Hello, hello. No, actually, I'd just like to say Happy New Year to all the loyal Radio Invicta listeners and all the Invicta staff and all you chappies doing a great job up there today. How you going? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Okay. Has somebody sprayed your hair with boot polish?
No, I've just washed it, you see. I do wash my hair now and again.
I see, okay. Well, you're tuned to Invicta, and I'm going back over the years and going through some of the things that have happened, and it brings to mind the time when at Barringer Court, Tooting, London, Southwest 17, there was... There they are, up there on the roof, and it was our second transmitter that got lost. And Steve Walsh has given me a strange look. Not unusual for him. Do you remember this? I keep saying, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Perhaps if you do, you'll give us a call. Jerry-O and Karate Boogaloo. In 1972 we broadcast an interview with Isaac Hayes, and over the years we have believed in bringing you more than just that was, this is, and here's the next record. We've brought you interviews and live recordings of people like Archie Bell and the Drells, and all sorts of things like that. Brought you lots of well-known guest DJs and presenters. In the early years, we put out an interview, say, with Isaac Hayes, with the Detroit Emeralds, with Curtis Mayfield, just about. And I've put this on to read out a few more dedications and things. Right, first of all, I'd like to say hello to all of Steve's boys in the car outside. Right. Now, we've mentioned Roy in Edgware, so let's move on to Julie of Feltham. To boyfriend Tony, lots of love. Happy birthday to Julie on the 2nd of January. Got to mention Althea of Dalston, to all the family, plus I think it is Kat Laurel, it looks like. Also got to mention Frank of Norbury. He wants us to say hi to Simone of Norbury, and wants us to mention that he rang in on the Soul Poll. Also from Mr. Jazz for the Lambeth Infuncstitution, who funked up the gold mine on Christmas Eve. About time somebody funked it up. And from Gary Valland of Purley To John and girlfriend Karen, all my love, and to anyone I know, Happy New Year. I wonder if anybody on Invictus made New Year resolutions. Steve Chandler's in the studio, and he's around. He's come up to the microphone. Got a New Year resolution, Steve?
Only that hopefully you out there will stick with us, and I'll make sure I stick with you. And that's my New Year's resolution. So if you stay with us, I'm going to stay with you. I guarantee you that.
That's nice, that, isn't it? I wonder if Steve Walsh has made one, or a New Year's resolution. We'll invite him up to the studio a little bit later on to participate again. Don't worry, it's quite legal.
Who's the cat that won't cop out when there's danger all about? Right on. You see this cat shaft is a bear?
Shut your mouth.
Well, I'm talking about, Sharon.
Then you can do it.
He's a complicated man, but no one understands him like his woman.
Down, Jack.
The origins of soul music go back to the very early 1960s and back beyond. Going through Tony John's record box, all his vile pile, his oldies just now, I came up with this from 1963, from the Diodes, sorry, the Crystals, and Then He Kissed Me. A little bit of feedback from the programme. No, I haven't been eating beans. Hello there to Adam, who used to live in Clapham. I remember he came along to a couple of gigs, and I think he came along to the studio to meet us with his very lovely young lady all those years ago. He now lives in Kingston. And in fact, Adam, you might not believe this, but the actual turntable you heard that record played on was the one that you donated to Radio Invicta many, many years ago. Also like to say hello to Pete Winfield out there in, Wimbledon. Hi, and thanks very much for ringing in. I'm going to go on with an oldie from 1971. Of course, they're all oldies. This one's a slowie, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy it too, from Al Green.
I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do, what I need. Let me be the one you come running to. I'll never be untrue. Oh, baby, let's stay together, loving you weather, times are good or bad, happy or sad. Ooh, yeah. Whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. Why people break up, oh, and turn around and make up. I just came to see you'd never do that to me. Would you, baby? Being around you is all I see. Is what I want to do. We ought to stay together, loving you weather, times are good, bad, happy or sad. Come on, woo, let's stay together, loving you weather.
Just tuned in, you're listening to Radio Invicta. We're going through right through until the early hours of the morning, I'm told. On the sheet here it says 3 o'clock in the morning. Is that right, Steve? We're going right through till then?
It could be.
I see you're going to be doing something fairly late. You know what you're going to be doing later on?
Well, party time, of course, around about 10 o'clock until close down. But I'm going to be coming up at around about 5 o'clock, and hopefully I'm going to be putting some Latin on you. A bit of jazz funk for the first hour, and then we're going to slow it down with some of the best things that came out in the mellow groove in 1980, so I hope you stick around with Invicta until then.
What are your memories of early Radio Invicta? How did you come to join the station? I
Well,
think you read about it in a mag, didn't you?
Yep, I never heard Invicta at all when you first started. In fact, I used to get Black Echoes, and I still do. What a good paper that is, okay, Chris? And I actually saw a phone number of Mr. Tony Johns, and I phoned him up, and that, of course, was when Invicta only broadcast on bank holidays, and the first time I actually ever heard Invicta was when I actually put out a broadcast, which I think was May time, around about then, 1976. And luckily enough, you've been hearing me ever since.
Thanks very much indeed there, Steve Chalner. Well, with all these oldie shows, of course, we get deeply into the Tamla thing, and no oldie show would be complete without one from Mary Wells. On Boxing Day, I played one called Dear Lover. Today it's the time of the one called My Guy.
Nothing you can say can tear me away from my guy. Nothing you could do, 'cause I'm stuck like glue to my guy. I'm sticking to my guy like a stamp to a letter, like birds of a feather. We stick together. I'm telling you from the start, I can't be torn apart from my guy. Nothing you could do could make me untrue to my guy. My guy. Nothing you could buy could make me tell a lie to my guy. I gave my guy my word of honor to be faithful, and I'm gonna, you best be believing I won't be deceiving my guy. As a matter of opinion, I think he's tops. My opinion is he's the cream of the crop. As a matter of taste, to be exact, he's my ideal. As a matter of fact, no muscle-bound man could take my hand from my guy. My guy. No handsome face could ever take the place my God. He may not be a movie star, but when it comes to being happy, there's not a man today who can take me away from my God. No muscle bound man could take my hand from my God. My God. No handsome face could ever take the place of my God. He may not be a movie star, but when it comes to being happy, there's not a man today who could take me away from my God. What you say? There's not a man today who could take me away from my God. Tell me more. There's not a man today who could take me away.
Hold it. Listen.
two back-to-back, or the preferred way to say it is one segued into another. Of course, I'm not a Steve Walsh, so I don't say such things. Anyway, tuned to Invicta with the oldies programme, and of course the disco thing arrived, and I'm not going to play any disco music, deliberately because I think it would spoil the atmosphere and the way the show's going. I want to stick to real oldies and the classics and the things like that. But mentioning disco, there was a magazine that came out 2, maybe 3 years ago called Disco, just Disco magazine. It was published by a guy by the name of Garrel Redfern, and what a pity that that magazine fell apart, because although the name Disco was the name of the magazine, it really belied what it was, and that was a wealth of information about soul music, and Radio Invicta featured in that once, in that magazine. So Garrel, if you're out there, or anybody that knows Garrel Redfern, pass on my regards and the regards of Radio Invicta. In those early days of Radio Invicta, when it first started, of course, Invicta broadcast not on 92 and a bit, but on somewhere in the region of 88 megahertz, and it was Invicta AM. And in those days, Peter St Crispian, or I think his name was Stretch, his name on the air, don't know why, and Tony Johns, who was forever coughing in the background, and I think forever will till eternity comes, were playing all sorts of weird records one night. And then, all of a sudden, in the middle of it all went dead and went off, and when it came back, this was the record that was played. The Showstoppers ain't nothing but a house party. Past listeners will know that Roger Tate occasionally comes out with some strange things, apart from an ever-increasingly tied tongue. I'd like to dedicate something to a company that have made a major contribution to the development of Radio Invicta over the years, and that is the Philips Electrical Company of Century House in Croydon. Do you realise if it hadn't been for the introduction of the EL3302 cassette player, Radio Invicta may never have come to you? It's true. This is Invicta 92.4. Give us a call. 648 9790. Here's the OJs and Looky Looky.
Look at me, look at me.